There are actually about 20 or 25 kids who are going to help me sing. I hope somebody will be rounding them up so they'll be ready in a few minutes to come on. I think I'm going to ask you to sing a song, though, in the beginning, because my voice at age 89 is not much. And I think this is a song that you may have heard before, and I can give you the words as we go along. In church, they call this lining out the hymn. I'll give you the words as we go along. The words were put together 2,260 some years ago. And the man's Hebrew name was Koheleth, but when they translated the Bible, they called him Ecclesiastes. Those of you who know the song, you can sing out. Those who are not so sure of themselves will take courage from your efforts. To everything there is a season. Turn, turn, turn. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. And a time. And a time. Every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to be born, a time to die, to plant, to reap, a time to plant, a time to reap, to kill, to heal, a time to kill, a time to heal, to laugh, to weep, a time to laugh, a time. To everything. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season, turn, turn, turn. Time. And a time for every purpose. A time to build up, a time to break down. A time to build up, a time to break down. To dance, to mourn, a time to dance, a time to walk, to cast away stones, a time to cast away stones, to gather, a time to gather stones together, to everything. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate. A time of love, a time of hate. War of peace. A time of war, a time of peace. A time you may embrace. A time you may embrace. Refrain. A time to refrain. Embracing. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. A time. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to gain, a time to lose, to rend, to sow, a time to rend, a time to sow, of love, of hate, a time of love, a time of hate, peace, a time of peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. for us, we could sing it again and get some harmony. Some people know how to sing bass, or know how to sing tenor. Let's sing that once again. To everything. Thank you. Incidentally, if some of you are visiting here, I know one family drove over from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You should know that a very important historical house is across the river, just a block below Main Street in Newburgh. Well, it's Broadway. It's a big street that goes from the river up the hill. And that's where George Washington lived for a full year and a half. Cornwallis had been beaten down there in Virginia and had surrendered and had sailed back to England, but the British still kept a navy and occupied the city of New York and a number of other places. And Washington was up there in Newburgh with a couple thousand men in little log cabins a mile south, and he didn't want to let the army go home because the peace treaty hadn't been signed yet. Month after month after month. And in Paris, Benjamin Franklin and John Adams and others were trying to get a peace treaty signed, and the British kept finding an objection here and an objection there. Washington wrote down to Martha, says, "Martha, out of my window I have a most beautiful view. It's even more beautiful than our view of the Potomac. I can look down past a little island between the mountains. I can see West Point beyond them. And why don't you come and join me?" So there, this old Dutch stone farmhouse is still, you can visit it and see the double bed that he and Martha slept in. And they have a crazy fireplace. The main house is a rectangle, and then another smaller rectangle is the kitchen. And the fireplace is nothing but a stone wall and a hearth in the bottom, and a big door at the right and big door at the left. And they said that a horse, they put a chain around a great big log, and the horse would pull it in through one door, and the horse would walk out the other door, but they'd let the log off in the middle of the fireplace. And then the flames and smoke from the fireplace just went up the wall and out a big hole in the ceiling. It's the most unusual fireplace you'll ever see. And that's where Washington turned down the chance to become King of America, because the Continental Congress in Philadelphia was printing paper money, and it wasn't worth much. You've heard the term, not worth a continental. Anyway, a group of officers wrote a letter saying, "General, the country is falling apart. The Continental Congress is not doing its job. Men are deserting." He said, "Men are deserting. Won't you please take charge of the country, and we will follow wherever you lead." Washington read the letter, called all the men who signed it up to this farmhouse where he was staying. He said, "I am surprised you do not know my Republican convictions. I'm shocked by the very suggestion. I did not spend 6 years fighting royalty just to set up a new royalty." And he dismissed them. Where else in the world did this ever happen? Usually after there's a revolution, the leader becomes the boss. What an extraordinary man he was. Very conservative in some ways, very democratic in others. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, I got a banjo here, and I'm going to ask these 20 kids to come up, and we're going to sing a few songs for you.
used to sing it when I was younger in a lot of summer camps. And I learned this song from kids like these. Lord knows who made up the words. It's to an old tune, an old gospel tune. And they might have been kids at a Methodist camp. You know, Methodists were great for singing, and they'd have summer camps where and the grown-ups would be listening to sermons, and they'd be singing grown-up songs, but the kids, they put off somewhere else in the camp, let them sing their own songs. So here's the song the kids made up. I'm too near. You all set? A one, a two, a sing. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Toot, toot. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Toot, toot. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Toot, toot. Actually, when I sing this for a gang of grown-ups, I said you can come in on it too if you want. Pretend you're the engineer on the train, going toot toot. But the next verse says, we'll all go out to meet her when she comes. Hi, babe. We'll all go out to meet her when she comes. Hi, babe. We will all go out to meet her. We'll all go out to meet her. We'll all go out to meet her when she comes. Hi, babe. Whoa, back. We'll all have chicken and dumplings when she comes. Yum, yum. We will all have chicken and dumplings when she comes. Yum, yum. We will all have chicken and dumplings. We'll all go out to dumplings. We'll all go out dumplings when she comes. Yum, yum. Hi, babe. Whoa, back. Toot, toot. She will have to sleep with Grandma when she comes. She'll have to sleep with Grandma when she comes. She'll have to sleep with Grandma. She'll have to sleep with Grandma. She'll have to sleep with Grandma when she comes. Hi, babe. Whoa, back. Toot, toot. If you have anybody here has grandchildren somewhere, you might as well learn this song to teach it to them. Coming up, last verse. She'll be wearing red pajamas when she comes. She'll be wearing red pajamas when she comes. She'll be wearing red pajamas. She'll be wearing red pajamas. She'll be wearing red pajamas when she comes. Scratch, scratch. Yum, yum. Hi, babe. Whoa, back. Toot, toot. Ha ha. Next is a song you all know, and I'm expecting you not just to sing it, but some of you know how to harmonize and make it sound pretty. It was made up almost 70 years ago, in the month of February, by a little curly-headed guy from Oklahoma who was hitchhiking. He didn't have money for a train ticket or a bus ticket. He was hitchhiking across the country to New York. And in New York, he'd been invited by a friend who was an actor on Broadway, and he said, "I've persuaded the producer of our play to let the theater be used for a midnight benefit concert to raise some money for California agricultural workers." In those days, they were mostly what they call Okies from Oklahoma, Texies from Texas, Kansies from Kansas, and Arkies from Arkansas, and so on. And that's where I met this fellow. His name was Woody, born in 1912. I guess you know a lot of people in America were called Woody then. Woodrow Wilson was president. Woodrow Wilson Guthrie was his full name. And the song you all know, as I was walking, that ribbon of highway, I saw above me, endless skyway, below me, golden valley, this land was made. Everybody, let's hear you.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California.
Run down, follow her footsteps, sparkling sand, diamond deserts, all around me. A voice was sounding, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Boston waters. This land was made for you and me. This song was never played on the radio, it was never played on TV, it wasn't sold in any music store. How come it's known? Kids liked the song. A tiny little record company sold maybe 1,000 copies of a record of the song, but some teachers in New York liked it and taught it to their kids, and the kids liked it. And a few years later, a publisher of school songbooks put it in the school songbook. And 20 years later, the whole country knew this song. The kids taught it to us, everybody. A couple of verses did not get in the school songbook. One bright sunny morning, by the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office, I saw my people as they stood there hungry. I stood there whistling. What did he whistle? This land was made. There was a great high wall there, tried to stop me. Was a great big sign there, said private property. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That sign was made for you and me.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf waters. This land was made for you and me.
Nobody living, nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. Get some harmony one more time. This land is mine. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Boston waters. This land was made for you and me. About 6 years ago, I made up a song, I had a little banjo run, which I'd played for years. And they didn't know what to do with it. Along came the terrible Twin Towers attack, and I got some words. It took me about 8 months to get 4 verses that were not too teachy-preachy, and I'm proud to say I've gotten people singing with it all around, everywhere. Down in Alabama, 1955. Not everybody here today was then alive. A young Baptist preacher led a bus boycott. He showed a way for a brand new day without firing a shot. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too can learn to sing, so Dr. King. Oh, those must have been an exciting 13 years. Young heroes, young heroines, there was laughter, there were tears. Students sitting down at lunch counters, children dancing in the street. To think it all started with Rosa refusing to give up her seat. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too can learn to sing, so Dr. King. I'll teach you that chorus, you can sing it with us. Don't say it can't be done, sing that.
Don't say it can't be done.
The battle's just begun.
The battle's just begun.
Take it from Dr. King.
Take it from Dr. King.
Let's sing those 3 lines. Don't say it can't be done.
The battle's just begun.
Take it.
Take it from Dr. King.
You too can learn to sing. You too can learn to sing. So drop the gun. So drop the gun. Now you know the whole chorus. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it.
Take it from Dr. King.
You too can learn to sing. So Dr. King. Songs kept them going and growing. They didn't know all the millions of seeds that they were sowing. They were singing on marches, even singing in jail. Songs gave them courage to believe they would not fail. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun.
Take it from Dr. King. You too can learn to sing, so Dr. King.
We really need a trumpet. I'll have to pretend. Don't say you can't.
Take it from Dr. King. You too can learn to sing, so Dr. King.
We sang about Alabama, 1955. But since September 11th, many wonder, will this world survive? But if the world learns the lessons from Dr. King, we can survive, we can, we will! And so we sing. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun.
Take it from Dr. King. You too can learn to sing, so Dr. King.
You're singing better and better and better. Put them together. And I'm clapping on the off beat. The down beat is not what you clap on. You're clapping on the off beat. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King. You too can learn to sing, so Dr. King. You get it. We've got some wonderful food coming. And there's a lot of wonderful things to see around, the old schoolhouse, the old carriage barn, and the old Brinkerhoff house. I hope you really look around and talk with your friends and neighbors. Here we are. I'm sure we are of many different opinions and many different religions, but we know that the future of the world depends on us being able to get together once in a while. And I am actually more optimistic about my country and about the world than I was after Hiroshima. I see millions of good little things going on in our country. 800 community gardens in New York City now. And an umbrella organization called the Green Guerrillas. They got a law passed says if you get a name and a number and maybe a fence, they won't bulldoze you. If you don't get a name and a number, it's only a matter of time. You improve the neighborhood and the developer says, hey, bulldoze that garden, I'm going to put up a high rise. So we all learn as we're going along. This song I put a tune to about 1948. Was it really that long ago? Oh my gosh. Almost 70 years ago. Anyway, I think I can get away with in this key. A friend of mine from Arkansas, he was the son of a Methodist preacher, knew that a lot of old gospel songs just changed one word and you had a new verse. So he sent me 4 verses that only changed just a little bit and said, Pete, can you make a tune for this? I tried, but the song didn't really go anywhere until Peter, Paul, and Mary rewrote my tune 7 years later. And then even later than that, Sam Cooke, if you've ever heard his records, Sam Cooke at the Copa, he had an extra high note that nobody had thought of yet. And I'm trying to teach people that's a fun note to sing. If I had a hammer in the morning.
I'd hammer in the morning.
Evening.
I'd hammer in the evening.
Over
this land.
danger.
I'd hammer out danger.
Warning.
I'd hammer out warning. I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters. All over this land.
If I had a bell,
If I had a bell,
ring it in the morning.
I'd ring it in the morning.
Evening.
I'd ring it in the evening.
Over
All over this land.
danger.
I'd hammer out danger.
Warning.
I'd hammer out warning. I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters. All over this land.
Song.
If I had a song,
Sing it in the morning.
I'd sing it in the morning.
Evening.
I'd sing it in the evening.
Over
All over this land.
danger.
I'd sing out danger.
Warning.
I'd sing out warning. I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters. All over this land.
Well, I got a hammer,
Well, I got a hammer,
a bell,
and I got a bell,
a song
and I got a song
to sing all over this land.
I'd hammer out justice.
It's a bell,
Love freedom.
it's a song.
About love between my brothers and my sisters.
Oh, man, let's sing that last verse again one more time. Well, I got a bell,
And I got a bell,
I got a song
and I got a song
to sing
all over this land.
should. Let me thank you for singing along with me. There's a lot of good food here, and I think I'll quit singing. Let me thank Tom Scannell, who is a member of the VFW in Fishkill, which I'm a member of, and he said, would I come over and sing at the strawberry party at the East Fishkill Historical Society? I didn't know there was a East Fishkill Historical Society. I live way down in the southwestern corner of Dutchess County, just a mile north of the tunnel to Putnam County, and so I'm not as well acquainted here as I should be, but I'm learning. I went through the house, they got a lot of nice signs there. I'm learning.